Good morning, everyone, on this Monday morning. Happy Monday, January 24th, 2022. And welcome to Geese Speaks on the 11:11 a.m. Fireside Chat. As you all know, this community is blessed to have so many wonderfully talented people that are blessed with many gifts and much to share. And Geese Speaks is the program that airs every fourth Monday to highlight the talent that exists right here on the Richfield Living Campus. I am so delighted to welcome one of our very own, a resident of the Villas, Miss Carolyn Bain, who is a very lovely and accomplished lady who joined the Richfield community and immediately began to share her awesomely positive disposition with anyone and all she encountered, including myself. So I would love to welcome you to Geese Speaks.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here this morning.
Well, I am honored to have you here. And, there are just some people from whom good vibes just emanate. You just meet them and you just feel great in their presence. And you are one such person from day one that we met and talked. You have shared such positive energy and insights with me each time we have interacted with one another. And the admirable quality that resonated was your willingness to examine yourself and the importance of embracing change and evolution. And, that is, again, a very admirable quality because change is hard. Change can be very scary, and of course, the longer that we live, the harder it is to change. You have lived your life in such a way that screams, it's never too late.
Thank you.
So let's jump right in with you telling us about yourself and your experiences, your life experiences that may have shaped you in that way.
Well, I'm an Army brat. My father retired from the Army after 27 years, and we had the privilege of moving to his where he was stationed. My first grade was in Radford, where I was born. Second grade was Flat, Texas. Third grade was half Radford and DeRidder, Louisiana. He was at Fort Polk. Fourth grade was DeRidder, Louisiana, and Radford, because we always came back to Radford because that was home. Fifth and sixth grades, Fairbanks, Alaska. Seventh and eighth grades were Arizona. Ninth grade was Arizona and Radford. 10th, 11th, and 12th grades were Nuremberg American High School, Nuremberg, Germany. So that was a lot of change in our life, and we got used to it. We did know that it was not normal that everyone moved every couple of years.
Yes, that would become your normal,
yes.
And that would also cause you to embrace change.
Definitely.
So that became something that that prevailed throughout your life, apparently.
Yes. Every couple of years, his rotation date came up, and we never knew where the Army would send him. Typically, he would go before us and find us a place to live, and then we would join him until the next rotation date.
Isn't that wonderful how our experience not only shapes who we are, but it also puts us in position to live the life that I would like to say God has intended for us. And so that path is determined for us, and we, of course, we have free will in it, but it's just wonderful to see that materialize.
Most definitely. went on into my later life, too. I was trained at Roanoke Memorial Hospital, X-ray technology. I went to work at Community Hospital 1 week before it opened. And then I met someone, of course.
Of course.
We started a family, and I worked part-time many times. And then I started working full-time. And I went to work at Roanoke College. I worked up there until my husband was transferred to North Carolina. And we moved to North Carolina, and then we moved back to Virginia. But while we were in North Carolina, we finished our bachelor's degrees at High Point University.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And Bill had his associate's degree, but I was determined to get my bachelor's degree.
Yes.
And so I started classes at Virginia Western.
Okay.
And then I went to Roanoke College, and then I went to High Point University. And so High Point has an excellent evening degree program for adults, and Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights from 6 to 10. So Bill said if he was ever going to see me, he would have to start to school with me. So I planned all of his classes. I registered. I bought the books. And we had classes together.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Until the senior year. And so I said, here's your class. This is your professor. These are the books. This is what you need. And he said, well, you're not in that class. I said, well, I don't need that class to graduate, and you do. He said, well, I'm not going to graduate. I said, oh, yes, you are. At which time he said, well, if I'd have known that, I would have studied harder.
Shame on you.
Yeah. And people would say, well, Carolyn, you will be 47 years old when you graduate. What are you going to do? And I said, I will be 47 whether I graduate or not.
There you go.
So we graduated together. They called us Bonnie and Clyde, and I'm not going into that one.
Sounds like a good story, though.
So, and then we came back to Virginia. He worked at Rowe Furniture, and I worked at Roanoke College again.
Wow.
And then I went to Virginia Tech for 12 years, and I retired from Virginia Tech.
Awesome. And that just really, once again, just highlights the fact that it is never too late to be great and to accomplish your goals, the things you may have set out to do at another time in life. And it's such a wonderful story that you all were able to do it together, that the desire to have that time together is what motivated you. So it doesn't matter what motivates you. It just matters that you do.
That you do it. That's
that
correct.
you do it. And that is awesome. And there is a neat story about your profession and how you went into radiology.
Yes.
And how that turned out. Would you like to share that with us?
I always wanted to be a history teacher. Of course, in Radford, we lived right next to what was then Radford Teachers College.
Oh.
Well, my dad said no. His niece was a radiologic technologist, and he determined that I would go to become the same. Now, if your father is a sergeant in the United States Army, and all of your life you have followed his directions, you go to become a radiologic technologist. And Roanoke Memorial Hospital was the only place I applied. I was accepted, but I never worked a day as a technologist. At the time when community was new, they needed someone to work the front desk, and they said, as soon as we have an opening for a technician, you will go into that position. I passed the registry, did everything I needed to do, and then Bill and I got married, and we started a family, and I never went back to radiology.
Never. So, you know what? It's almost like no matter your path was meant to go in a different direction.
Yes.
And nothing will stop that. Nothing will impede what it is that you are meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that took you in the direction professionally of getting into administration and other things
Mm-hmm.
that motivated you to pursue the bachelor's degree that you ultimately wanted.
Yes, my degree was in industrial organizational psychology, and it was very useful. I worked in alumni and resource development at all 3 universities, and I even worked at the bookstore at Roto College for a while, which definitely took some psychology.
I'm sure.
But it was wonderful. It just layered, built on top of each other. And I am fortunate that I teach or facilitate a Sunday school class of women my age, and I bring in a lot of biblical history and different authors, different, how can I say this? Different viewpoints.
Right.
So I am a little bit of a history teacher, so God said, yes, I'll give you that.
Right. You made an interesting statement about rewriting.
Mm-hmm.
Rewriting, though?
Well, yes. I tend to write in my Bibles. In fact, one of the things I do is if I don't like a passage, if it says Abraham, I will put Abraham and Sarah. And when it gets to Isaac and Jacob, I put in Leah and Rebecca and all the wives' names. And I go through that way. A lot of times when it says men, I will put in people or believers because I think God speaks to all of us.
Yes.
And then at the end of Revelations, I have taken out that period and just put ... because I don't believe God has stopped speaking to us.
Indeed. He speaks to us all the time if we're listening.
If we're listening, sometimes it's what my pastor calls a pneumonerge. That's just a little inkling of something. And I have found that if I don't pay attention to that, there's a possibility of a 2x4 upside my head to get my attention, and I
Right.
try to avoid those whenever possible.
Yes, I am with you on that. And of course, our relationships, our relationship with God is very personal.
Yes.
And so I love that. I personally believe that when we read the Bible, it speaks to us. The passage may speak one way to me and another way to someone else because, of course, Jesus it's a manifestation of Jesus. And so he is going to direct me in the way that I need to be directed, which will be totally different from the way that you need to be directed.
Yes.
So would you consider yourself to be a feminist?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. And that is something that is often spoken about and studied is the way that women are, I guess, or are not really reflected in some of the passages, but they're there,
Yes.
and that their influence is there. So that is a interesting, different.
You didn't know that about me when you asked.
I did not. So, and that's what I mean about having these kinds of conversations that really are eye-opening, insightful, and edifying. And that's always so, it's important because I think that's how we all evolve, especially in a community like this one.
I agree with you totally. When you think about Jesus, he was not only the Messiah and our Savior, but he is a rebel and a feminist because he taught Mary She sat at his feet, and he taught her, which you didn't teach women.
That's right.
He spoke to the Samaritan woman at the well, and even his disciples were horrified
Wow.
that he was talking to her. And he taught in the synagogue, there would be women not sitting with the men, but they would be there.
Right, right.
And then there was the woman who touched his cloak,
Yes.
and
Was
he
healed.
called her daughter. And so, I could go on and on.
Right, right. Well, I hear and feel a good women's Bible study right here on Richfield's campus evolving right before my very eyes. So you mentioned that you and your husband, Bill, you started a family. How long were you and Bill married?
We were married 50 years. We celebrated our golden anniversary, August 19. I'm sorry, 19. This is
Of course.
because I'm thinking about
Hey,
Bill.
Yes. So you did that. That is a wonderful accomplishment.
2019.
2019.
And then he passed away from lung cancer in January of, I'm sorry, 2017. And then he passed away in 2018.
Okay.
He said those 50 years, 45 were the happiest years of his life.
Which 45?
I didn't ask.
That's funny. That is awesome. I think that's probably an accurate accounting for all of us. And you have a family that includes whom?
We had a daughter and a son. Our daughter Lee and her family, her husband is Shane. She has 2 daughters, and they live in Nashville, Tennessee. She works at Belmont University, and he works with Begin Anew, which is not a profit-for-profit company, but it works with people who need their English as a second language,
Okay.
and their GDT and things like that. He works with that.
Right.
And she works with honor students at Belmont University, and they are both ordained Baptist ministers.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
My son and his family, Sally and his 3 children, live here in Salem. And he was a little bit of a rebel, so 5 years in the Marine Corps did wonders for him. Of course, my dad always called him a jarhead,
Oh, wow.
as the Army is ready to do for Marines. And one of the reasons that I am here at Richfield, which I love, he always said that I had to be nice to him because he would pick out my nursing home. So I beat him to it. I looked around. I went to different places. I contacted a place for Mom. But once I came and saw Richfield, I was pretty hooked.
Wow, wow. And your son, too, is in the ministry in a...
Yes, he was recently installed as an elder in the First Evangelical Presbyterian Church in Roanoke. So when they were installing and asking questions, and he was answering, afterwards I said to him, well, I guess you're not a Baptist anymore. He said, no, he was definitely Presbyterian.
Well, it's probably a little bit still left.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Well, sounds like you have a beautiful family.
I do.
And you talked a lot about your grandchildren as well and how well-rounded they are and, just really wonderful people.
Oh, they're just wonderful. They're brilliant. They're beautiful. They're just, I just can't say enough about them.
Right. Well, I'm sure they all fall into the category of this next question of what is your proudest accomplishment? And I'm sure your family, and it sounds like,
Yes.
you have had you and your husband have had a great influence on their lives. And even your daughter, following probably in your footsteps of working in academia. You know, you've had a long history of doing so. You've had a great impact on your family. So I'm sure they're at the top of the list. But what other things are you are proud of accomplishing in life?
Definitely that Bill and I, excuse me, definitely that Bill and I received our degrees, our bachelor's degrees. Later in life, I found out there was a lot of things that I did not know. However, I could learn, and I did, and I'm still learning. The other things I'm proud of, the Sunday school class that I facilitate, and sometimes I throw in a curve to them. I am very proud that I am the founding president of the Blue Ridge chapter of the Embroiderers Guild of America.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I had someone tell me that I didn't have the patience to do needlework, and I was determined that I was going to do it. So determination has meant a lot to me, and I am proud that I graduated from high school in Germany. We had the opportunity, my senior trip was to Berlin, which was divided at the time, went through Checkpoint Charlie, and so many other things that maybe I've nudged someone in a way. I'm very proud of the friends who I have, and what I've been able to accomplish. I make brownies. I make a cream de mint brownie, which is very good.
Ooh. That's going to have to be on my list of accomplishments to have one of those.
A layer of brownie, a layer of cream de mint, a layer of chocolate icing.
Ooh.
Yes.
That
a
sounds...
pound of butter.
Oh, wow. You had me at the chocolate. So that sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
And you mentioned living here at Richfield. What have you enjoyed? What things have you enjoyed thus far?
Meeting so many people, and I found so much in common with the people I meet, and we laugh and we tell each other stories, and we find out that yes, we know some of the same people. Bill was born and raised in Salem.
Okay.
But I only lived here 24 years, so I'm really not a Salemite. I think you have to live in Salem proper for at least 25.
Just missed it.
Yeah, just missed it. But I was talking to people. We were eating lunch and in the cafe, and I was talking to these people, and I found out that two of them knew Bill's Aunt Mildred Ball. They attended Salem Baptist Church, where Bill and I were the first couple married in their new sanctuary.
Oh, wow.
And when I said that, they said, oh, we used to go there, and they knew his aunt.
Oh, wonderful.
And we talked about Aunt Mildred and about Salem, and it's just been a wonderful experience. I lived in Salem. I had wonderful neighbors. It was a younger neighborhood, and I missed the children. One couple had two little boys, and they'd see me out, and they'd come running, Miss Carolyn, Miss Carolyn. But here I had people my age,
yes,
and people to talk to. And one of my neighbors came down Saturday, and spent some time, and we talked about living in Salem and our families. And one of my very good friends knows one of her daughters.
Wow. The ties that bind,
That's right.
It's like a intricate fabric of connections, and the more that you talk, the more that you realize that you have those connections, and that is a wonderful thing about Richfield and Richfield living. And also you mentioned meeting people, meeting up in the cafe. It's just lovely to have this cultural hub that we can all enjoy. It has so many elements, and diversity is one in which is emphasized throughout
Oh, yes.
the campus.
Yes. I am still learning. I did not quit when I graduated from High Point. And one of the things I did at Virginia Tech and also at Roanoke, but I want to tell about Virginia Tech, was I took a class in unconscious bias. And I want you to know I'm a racist.
Oh.
I found that out pretty quickly. I always thought, well, I had gone to school with all kinds of people. I'm fine. Well, let me tell you, I'm not. Yeah. So I have to be very careful. And it's a wonderful thing to find out. In fact, I do a quotation of the week, and my quotation for this week.
Now, speak into the mic for that one.
Be teachable. You are not always right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to join the conversations of the diversity roundtable, in which we have had since September a monthly meeting that discusses all kinds of topics on diversity. But that is one of the central points, is to be teachable. In other words, whenever people tell you things such as, I would like to be referred to in this way, or this offends me, or this is the way that I feel about something, not to be, have our feelings hurt. Not for that to be something that's a point of contention, to receive that, because everyone is different. And once we start to receive and embrace, then we can live more harmoniously.
Yes, we can.
Because whatever it is that they feel does not have to change who we are. In a negative way. It will just change the way that we are, in a way that we are more accepting. And that was the main message. We had a video that, several, but that was the main takeaway for me, is to receive that information. It doesn't mean that you have done anything wrong necessarily, but we can all be taught and we can all grow. So that is awesome. And I just look forward to all of the ways in which we will all continue to grow here at Richfield. We have so many opportunities to do just that, and I think that the Answer Cafe offers that opportunity for us to just have a place where we can go and meet up with different people. And when I talk about your extremely positive disposition, I know that one day I met up with some folks downstairs from, I believe it was Knollwood. Yeah, from Knollwood. And you just came right up to them and introduced yourself, and, and a conversation ensued. You probably will continue the conversations that began on that day with these ladies. And I just thought, wow, this is great. This is what it's all about. Just making the introduction and residents just running with it. And that's what's so fun about being here.
You can tell I'm shy, can't you?
And that's what's so important. That's what makes the world go around, because there are shy people who will not step out and do what you do. And so it's important that we all are able to be ourselves, so that we can fill those gaps for everyone. That's what a community's all about.
I totally agree. And you were talking about saying things. one of the things I learned in those seminars was when someone says something, you can say, ouch. You don't have to get mad. Maybe they hurt your feelings, and you can say, ouch, that hurt.
Right, right.
And when you say that to me, if you tell me, ouch, then I need to stop and I say, I'm sorry, and learn from that.
Yes.
And the other part is don't stay silent.
Right.
Sometimes silence says, oh, I agree with whatever's being said. So I learned if someone says something and you can even say, ouch, for someone else who doesn't want to say the ouch.
Right.
Sometimes it gets you in trouble. I've been there before, and I've survived 74 years.
Right,
So-
right. Well, I think that the older we get or the more that we mature, authenticity becomes not only important but almost essential.
Oh,
And so, we have to be our authentic selves, and that's where evolution is so important. We have to evolve and embrace who we are, embrace the positive and the negative, and therefore we acknowledge those things, and if we desire, we can change certain things about ourselves. But authenticity is a gift. It is one that we share with others. We share who we are, and without pretense, and and that's a gift to others. And I see that as something that as we get older, we're able to share.
Well, I have pity parties sometimes.
Don't we all?
With chocolate, of course. And I'm really good at throwing a pity party.
Sometimes.
I give myself maybe 5 minutes for my pity party, and then I talk to Carolyn. And Carolyn answers me back. Sometimes Carolyn's not ready to leave that party, but we
Yes.
have.
But you don't give her an option.
No,
Sometimes.
maybe 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Right, right.
And then eat the last piece of chocolate. Go ahead and have that cup of tea. Drink a glass of water and go pet the dog.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes, and again, life throws us some curves, and
Oh, yeah.
but it's when you look at it, and I look at a person like yourself. Yes, you may not have initially been able to choose your own path initially.
Right.
However, things that happen and your evolution led you to the place where you needed to be.
Definitely,
and
yes.
and all of the experiences, positive, negative, otherwise, they make us into who we are. And we should appreciate who we are, appreciate those experiences. And you are a prime example of how that turns out wonderfully.
Well, I have a friend who, when I say something about Carolyn, and she will look at me and say, "Don't talk about my friend Carolyn that way."
That is one of my things to say, and I'll tell you now. Don't talk about my friend Carolyn. I think I may have said that to you when we were talking one time as well, and that is true. You know what? We have to be our own friends sometime, and so I'm sure you may tell yourself that during those times.
Oh, yes.
That you might have a pity party, as you mentioned. So my final question
Here goes.
would be, what advice would you give someone on personal evolution and why it's never too late to evolve?
Be open to possibilities. And maybe someone invites you to do something and you thought, well, I've never done that before. I don't know whether I'd like it. Well, try it. You might like it. You might not like it. But you might meet someone in that situation who spurs you on to do something else. And I have already looked into the Elder Scholar program at Roanoke College that you told me about, and the Virginia Tech
Lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning. I have a lot of books. I am a member of a book club where we are reading books by people of color, and I have found authors I never even thought about. And it has been eye-opening.
Yes.
Some of them, I don't like what they write, but hey, made me think.
Yes.
It made
Yes,
I
yes.
think a lot. And just keep learning. Be teachable. Try something new. My granddaughter's learning to crochet. And she's at college, and she sent me a picture of a bag she had crocheted. So that's the fun things that we do. And if it's fun, yay. If it's not, find something else.
That's right.
I just don't want to sit in my apartment as much as I like it,
Yes.
with my dog, as much as I love her, by myself.
Right.
There's too many people here. What, 1,200 people?
Yes.
And I haven't met all of them yet.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, you know, I think that your attitude is wonderful and hopefully infectious. I mean, I hope that others will see the value in understanding it's never too late to be great. And greatness comes in all forms. And your greatness is not measured by anyone else's ideas, accomplishments, and goals. And just getting up each day and putting that one foot in front of the other is the key. And that is what your life has revealed in so many different ways. And I so appreciate you sharing your goodness and light and your perspective with me and with others today.
Yes, thank you.
It's been wonderful. It's always, we've had these conversations on many occasions, so I just enjoyed them so much, and I hope you all have enjoyed us as well, enjoyed Carolyn's insights as well. And you may see her on campus with the cutest little pup. What's your pup's name?
Molly, she is a Pembroke Corgi.
Oh,
Pembroke Welch Corgi. And I have them on my socks. You didn't mention my socks.
You know what? I tell you, I love those little socks. They are not only a tribute to her pup, but also Valentine's Day, which is coming up.
Yes, pink and red.
Pink and red, and there are lots of hearts, and I just won't say where.
That's anyone who has a corgi knows where the heart is.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I have been delighted throughout. Now, from the Jar of Awesomeness is a quote that sums up the message that we have received today, and it is by Socrates, and it states, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." So as we continue to recognize that it's never too late to be great, we'll focus on building the new. Thank you all so much for joining us today for Geese Speaks. We look forward to having another wonderful guest on the 4th Monday of February. And I just invite you all to take part in this great program, because we are blessed with such wonderful people on this campus with all kinds of gifts, and I would love for you to share them with the community. So contact me at 540-380-6526 if you know of someone else in the community that would be willing and able to share their gifts with us all. Thank you again for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and be sure to join us on Wednesday when Samantha Edwards of the Marketing and Leasing Department here at Richfield will join us with an update of how things are going in her world. Thank you again so much. Have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's it. All right.